In Jesus' time, Nazareth was a small town of possibly 300 inhabitants, but we know that it had a progressive synagogue and a synagogue school. Today, Nazareth is the largest Arab city in Israel with a population of over 70,000. Nazareth is a cultural, political, religious, economic, and commercial center of the Arab citizens of Israel. Nazareth was in some ways ideal for Jesus' upbringing because it was at the crossroads of many caravan routes, making it a good place for Jesus to find out about other parts of the world as he was growing up. Its population was largely Gentile, and Nazareth was more liberal insofar as the interpretation of Jewish law. In fact, the synagogue school, which Jesus attended, was led by a liberal group of rabbis. This allowed Jesus some considerable leeway in modifying some religious forms within his own family after the death of Joseph. After Joseph and Mary were married, they lived in a new home in Nazareth, which had been built by Joseph and two of his brothers. The house was located near the elevated land which overlooked the surrounding countryside. Before Jesus was born, Gabriel appeared to Mary, his mother, to declare that she was to deliver the child of promise. This celestial visitation took place in this family home at Nazareth. Nazareth was Jesus' hometown. Although he was born in Bethlehem and sojourned in Alexandria for a short time as an infant, by the time he was 3 years old, Nazareth was his home. All of Jesus' siblings were born here in Nazareth, and the whole family lived and worked together in Nazareth. The family lived in the same house that had been built by Joseph. Jesus went to school here, and when he was 13, he graduated from the Nazareth Synagogue School. And it was here in Nazareth that Jesus' father was buried after his death, and where Jesus took on the responsibilities of the household when he was just a boy of 14. Jesus rarely ventured out of Nazareth in his youth and young adulthood, but when he was 27 years old, he did leave Nazareth for good, relocating to Capernaum, as did many of his family in the ensuing years. But in the intervening years, many important phases of Jesus' life and many significant events occurred here in Nazareth. Later in his ministry, near the end of the third preaching tour in March of 29 CE, Jesus did return to Nazareth, where he preached in the synagogue as he once had as a young man. But over the years, the moral atmosphere of Nazareth had deteriorated, and moreover, Jesus' enemies had seen to it that certain undesirables were present to harass him. This was easy because the townspeople resented him and were bitter because they felt slighted by him. After the synagogue service, Jesus was accosted by these townspeople, and his life was threatened. He was thoroughly rejected by the populace of Nazareth, but he weathered this challenge and was able to leave town unharmed. Near the end of his earthly life, amidst his great sorrow in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus recalled with great fondness his childhood in Nazareth and the sunrise and sunset on the shimmering Sea of Galilee.